Damn it, Katie, are you ready?
I am preparing my space. I'm preparing myself. I'm preparing my delicious pumpkin spice beverage. I'm preparing to podcast. I don't know if you know this, but I am talent. And talent takes time.
I feel like there were several hashtags in that. Hashtag talent takes time. Hashtag preparing to podcast.
Hashtag preparing to podcast. That's what we should have called this podcast all along.
Just preparing to podcast.
I'm going to go ahead and apologize for my voice.
Oh, look, something else she's apologizing for this week, guys. When absolutely nothing is wrong with her voice.
No,
though.
It hurts very much for me, and the likelihood of vocal fry in this episode is rather high, which is why I have my beverage. My throat is very sore for reasons that will be revealed later in the podcast, and it is not because of deep throating this time.
That conversation went whoop, right over there.
It just took a really hard
now,
left.
Remember, Katie.
I like to do it that way where I'm just like bringing you in and bringing you in and bringing you in and then like, boom, there's the vulgarity.
Well, because remember, we are a vulgar podcast.
We are not for children. I just want to say at the top of this episode, I don't want to be petty. I don't want to be aggressive. I certainly, as a woman in America, don't want to be aggressive. But
that's, you remember what happened to that last time. That was the last episode, right?
I just want to say up top that this podcast is not for children. In case you haven't figured it out, it's not for children.
No.
So if you're not of age, just go ahead and not.
Yeah, just going to go ahead and throw it out there. Not safe for work.
Or children.
NSFW.
And work means children, because we all know that work is full of children.
Hey, we're a 5-star podcast.
Are we still? I don't know if that's true. In our minds,
according
we are.
to iTunes.
It's chaos magic.
No.
If we believe we are, we are.
According to Apple Podcasts, we are still a 5-star bitch.
Still, for now. This week, everybody just fucking bum rushes the reviews and tanks it.
God. You know what, though? I wouldn't be mad.
You know what? I mean, it's certainly not going to stop us. Like,
could we be like the world's first 1-star podcast?
Trust me when I tell you, there are plenty of 1-star podcasts out there.
Yeah, but could we be like the good 1-star podcast?
Could it be part of our aesthetic,
yeah.
You mean?
Yeah,
we like actively keep it low. I want to be very clear. I'm not telling you to rank us low. We will be very sad if you do. If you're going to give us a review, which you should stop by your favorite podcast app and drop us a review.
Yes.
But it should be 5 stars.
We were going in different directions.
Oh no. It should be 5. If you're feeling like a 3, just go ahead and don't. Just don't.
Wait for another episode. Try another episode.
Just try again. Just take that 3 and just express it elsewhere in your life.
Yeah. So Katie, what have you been up to?
Girl.
Since we left off.
Well, we have some business to take care of up top. I've been doing business. So up top, we have to talk to you guys about a very cool podcast that I recently have become aware of. I don't know if you know this one, but it's Podlight time.
Podlight!
And today...
Insert Podlight theme song.
And then it's just like 30 seconds of silence.
Yep.
So I've recently discovered a podcast called Pleasing Terrors.
Pleasing
Terrors.
Pleasing terrors.
Yes.
So these are terrors.
Like it's terrors
that are pleasing.
But it's pleasing you. Like it's scary, but you're also
you're
feeling a little something in your nether region.
Oh.
No, it's not that kind of pleasing.
Oh.
I know. Why isn't that a theme? Here's
You
my...
said pleasing terrors, and my first thought was like pleasers, the shoes.
Oh. That was interesting, the place where you took that. No,
A classy shoe, you know.
Okay. No, my spin-off podcast idea is just reading the most gory, horrible horror stories, but like in a really sexy voice. Not like the one I have today. And like creating an entire generation of sociopaths.
Yeah, cool.
Who blur the line between gore and sexual gratification.
Cool.
Anyway, that's not what this podcast is about. What this podcast is about is different stories about haunted places, creepy history, and folklore. So I know we have a lot of listeners that listen to Southern Gothic. That's an amazing show. Very awesome. This is kind of in that same vein, where history is incorporated, and a lot of it is like based in, it's not specific to the South, but a lot of it is kind of based there because the guy who hosts it, my friend Mike, he is a tour guide in Charleston.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he does like ghost tours and like does all the storytelling and stuff like that. So it's got that vibe. So if you love ghost tours and you like that kind of like getting together on a cloudy night and like freaking each other out with ghost stories as you walk through town, like it's very much that type of like aesthetic.
Yeah. Love Charlestown.
Yes.
Never been.
Charleston. Charlestown is in West Virginia. It's like an hour from us.
Oh,
Charleston is different. Charleston's different. Charleston's better.
Charlestown.
No offense to people from
Charlestown. That's
Charlestown's where we went to the casino.
Oh yeah, that's the casino.
Charleston is South Carolina.
Yeah, I knew that. I love Charleston.
You're going to have to forgive me if you can hear me drink a little tea every now and again. I know we're very sensitive about mouth sounds in our community.
I don't get
You'll
that.
have to forgive me because my throat is once again, on fire. And I am here for the love of you and just the love of you. And this pumpkin spice tea are keeping me speaking right now. So I want you to know, Mama loves you. Mama is here for you. Don't criticize Mama.
Or she will come for you.
Anywho, that is my plug for Pleasing Terrors. They are at Pleasing Terrors on Twitter. You can search Pleasing Terrors on your favorite podcast app and pull them up, and they are very cool. Episodes are a little bit shorter, which is kind of nice, because I know we ramble at you guys for hours at a time, and they keep it a little bit tighter. So
Yeah. You listen to us, and it's like 84 years later.
yeah, true. But it's fine. We just, we just like you guys. We have a lot
love
to
talking
talk
to you. You know, we just want to talk to you.
We just want to talk to you.
Just sit down, light a candle. We like to light a candle and just talk to you.
5, a 6, and just talk to you.
Nothing wrong with that. Why do we get so Jersey? What is this
I
Jersey?
feel like I have two voices on this podcast, and it's either that one about talking to ya, or it's this one right here every time I do a voice like
that
this.
What you did on the last episode when you were talking about the witches on the ground.
Oh, yeah. It's either that character or like the Jersey lady. There's no in between. It's fine.
Right. We should do a whole episode in those accents.
I feel like all of our listeners would immediately commit suicide. Like, I don't think it would work out.
Well, if we ever want to end the podcast, Katie.
That's how we go out?
That's how we go out.
Jesus. No. Please, God,
I tell you what, though. I am very excited because we have some invocations.
We do. We have a shitload of invocations.
A fuck ton.
Like,
a whole
no brag, but
a whole metric fuck ton of invocations.
No brag, but I'm like genuinely shocked. So we kind of didn't expect that it would be hard to keep up with you guys. We figured that we would have like 2. And it would be easy
2.
to keep track of you.
Yeah.
But
You know what's so funny is that I was visiting my mother this past week, and I was just sort of talking to her about the podcast and talking to her about some of the like extra content and stuff that we had filmed for the Patreon.
yeah.
And I was going over one of our videos, which we'll be releasing hopefully pretty soon.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I want to watch it.
Broke it up on that Patreon.
Look, and I said, well, Mom, I was like, you can't. No. She said, oh, I'll watch it later. And I said, Mom, you can't watch it. I said, A, because it's not posted, and B, it's specifically for our Patreon and our people who like give to us. And she says, oh. And then just doesn't say anything.
See, if I was your mom, I would have clocked you right quick. I would have looked you right in your eyes and I would have said, I gave you life. That's what I gave you. I gave you your life, boy.
And thus, she gave the world this podcast.
Fair. I mean, theoretically, they're the biggest patrons. But unfortunately, we live in a universe that has rules. And we do not live in complete anarchy. So if you want to see my Patreon videos, Mom, you need to put the coin on the dresser for me.
Just like everybody other motherfucker
else.
Oh, that was another vulgar moment. I do apologize.
Again, asterisk, not for children.
Yes.
This is the petty episode, y'all. No. We do have some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful new people to welcome to the Patreon. And we didn't want to like get totally like overwhelmed. Cause we did like, I don't know what happened. I don't know if y'all got paid. I don't know what it was, but we had kind of a rush to the Patreon, over the past like 2 weeks or so. And we want everybody to kind of like have their own moment. And we don't want to throw like a bunch of names at you guys. So we are breaking it up a little bit. So if you have to wait a little bit for your name, we're trying to go in order.
Patience is a virtue. Do not expect anything on this podcast.
Yeah, for real. But no, we do want to kind of space it out so that you guys have your own moments. So we're going to do 4 of our new folks today, and we'll do 4 next week, and we'll just keep it going.
Yep.
So am I starting off, or are you starting off?
I can start us off. I've got my names on the top of the list that I'm doing,
all right.
so I don't want to like...
All right.
Yeah. My names are on the top. All right, so...
And as always, we have dressed our candles with good intention, goodwill for you, health, happiness, wealth, and all good things.
Mm-hmm. All right, so our first one is for Dale M., who is a part of our Stay Spooky squad. That took 2.
She's extra fiery.
Yes. And our next one is for Denise V.W.
Beep, beep, girl.
Okay.
Now I have my people.
Oh, and did I mention Denise V.W. is also a Stay Spooky member?
Yes. Yes. So I have another Stay Spooky member, Miss Laura L. And last, but certainly not least, we have Miss Whitney Z, who is our very first minister or mistress of the macabre.
Whitney. We're running out of space on the table for candles, y'all.
We are. I wish that you guys could actually see how many candles we have lit, because like this whole area is actually like almost lit as brightly as if were lit with electric light. Like
For
it
real.
It's real bright,
For real.
which means it's real hot, which means I'm probably taking off my clothes in this episode.
Yep.
But We have a podcast, so you guys don't have to worry about that.
And remember, guys,
Don't have to go blind.
your candles will stay lit for the episode, but always and forever in our dark
Colons.
Oh,
is
hearts,
it wrong?
Hearts,
Is
Katie.
this not the
Hearts.
Haunted Colon?
It is not the Haunted
Is that our
Colon.
other spinoff show?
Yeah, that'll be our spinoff show.
The Haunted Colon.
Welcome to the Haunted Colon, y'all.
I want.
My name's Sandra from the Haunted Colon.
I want to hear about that in the Facebook group this week. I want to hear what you guys think the Haunted Colon is about. Let me know.
Actually,
let me know what it's about.
Actually, you know what? My mother would be great for that because she works for the butt and gut doctor, as she calls it.
The butt and gut doctor.
Actually, yeah, she says, you'll say, whenever she's talking about where she works, it's always the butt and gut clinic.
Great. Good. Good. Okay, so that's our Patreon family welcome, and we did our pod light, and now
We're
I
getting
guess
into what
we just have to get on in.
what these people are here for.
Which is the meat.
The meat.
The meat and the potatoes.
A little corn, a little side of mashed potatoes.
A little bit of, and there's some mac and cheese in the crock pot round on the corner.
Yes, some mac and cheese.
There's a crock pot up on that bar.
Some crock. Ooh.
Some cock. some crock. That's scary.
Damn, last week you had a stroke. Now I'm having a stroke.
It's fine.
New hashtag having a stroke.
No. Hashtag cock crock. Would be so cute though. It would just be like a crock pot that's like just shaped like a dick.
I feel like that would be your like a good for a cannibal episode. Mm-hmm. You know, that would be
cute. You could even bake a cake, and I'm into that. Actually, that's
totally.
my aesthetic.
But that is not the aesthetic of this episode.
It's not. This episode is not about cocks, and it's not about children. But it is about ghost towns.
I was just so taken aback that you used those two words in the same sentence. I'm pretty sure they heard my gasp of breath.
Were you afraid of where I was going?
I was very afraid of what you were going, but at least you said it and not me.
You should be. I'm scared it's going to get isolated. Anyway.
Ghost towns.
In case you didn't hear me, ghost towns.
Ghost towns.
Yes, we are talking the creepiest, the most abandoned ghost towns of the USA. We have to put that caveat that it is of the USA.
Yes. If a ghost town is kind of like your soul, right? Or at least ours, anyway. I feel like theirs. I feel like if they listen to us, it's probably the same. Mm-hmm. Right? They're just looking for content to fill the ghost town soul that they have within them.
That's cool. I've always liked ghost towns. I've always had a thing for them.
Oh, I love abandoned shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something about just there being life somewhere, an existence, and then they're not is so fascinating to me.
Well, in our younger days, when we were young and full of life, and not
old crones sitting here by candlelight talking to you today.
When we were young and full of life, and we went into the world instead of sitting here talking to you by ourselves. Kenny and I used to scout out abandoned places and do photo shoots and get really creative and do all kinds of shit like that. Remember that?
Disrespected a lot of shit, I'm sure.
We didn't disrespect because we never had a destructive energy. It was always a creative sort of I feel like we were reasonably respectful.
Well, but there was that one instance where we did the photo shoot in that creepy house by Amos's house. And then
What did we do though?
Well, no, because I went there to discover it, and apparently the man that had lived there, I went to discover it.
I went to discover it.
Discover it. No, I'm not Christopher Columbus. No, I went, or Caitlin was showing me that, and for the, not you, Caitlin, but
Different one. We have other friends named Caitlin. It's complicated.
Yeah, a mutual friend. And we, apparently some guy had like killed himself there and left notes. So when you go into the little abandoned shack, like on the stairs, you see a little handwritten note that says, "I'm upstairs," which in and of itself, when you see it, is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And then, so when you go upstairs and you go onto the landing, there's another note with an arrow pointing that says, "I'm in here." Fucking terrifying. And then you walk over, and then you can see into the room, and supposedly there's a chair in there, and apparently that's where he, like, shot himself, allegedly. Allegedly, that's what I'm saying. And you can still see, like, the stains on the chair or whatever, and it's really creepy, but apparently there's another room, and they had, like, some toys and stuff in there, and so I found a teddy bear on the floor, and I put it on the chair and took a picture because I thought it would be a neat, creepy little shot. This stuffed old raggedy teddy bear on a chair. And I left it there. And when we came back, that teddy bear was not in the chair. It was back where I had found it in the other room on the floor. And it's a pretty abandoned place, and I don't think people really go there, so I just made the assumption that I probably upset a spirit, and yeah.
We were a little stupid about that. I usually try to avoid places now where something like a suicide has taken place because there is such a volatile energy that can be in those types of places.
Yeah.
Unless it's somebody that I've known. It can be a very volatile energy. But for the most part, whenever we would enter abandoned places, we would be very respectful and not destructive, and very, like, we'd come to it with a very creative energy as opposed to a destructive energy. And I think that is probably why we didn't really get fucked with that much.
Yeah.
And if so, it was, the handful of times that we were fucked with, it was like playful stuff.
Yeah.
Not something that's like clearly threatening. If you ever do go to an abandoned place that maybe has a history that you don't necessarily know, but you feel a little uncomfortable or you feel threatened, probably best to just back out and don't fuck with it.
Yeah.
Because you can tell by the energy of a place whether it's a place that you should be or whether it's a place that you should not be.
Right.
And I think it's very important to kind of like cultivate that sense for that and listen to it because your body knows. But we're going to talk today about a couple of places here in the U.S. That are abandoned towns that are somewhat famous, or abandoned places that are somewhat famous. And if you have an abandoned town near you, you should message us and tell us about it because we want to hear about all the spooky little towns because I'm sure that there are like a lot of really fucking cool places that we just haven't heard of because they're like tiny.
Yeah.
Have
you, well, I mentioned this on the podcast group a while back, but you and I have both been to the Ghost Town Amusement Park.
Yeah, Ghost Town
near
in the Sky.
Where we live, Ghost Town in the Sky. Good old Maggie Valley, North Carolina.
Hell yeah.
Maggie Valley. Shout out to MV.
All two of you that listen. No.
But do you remember how, like, creepy, or not creepy, but how crazy it was? Because you have to take, for those of you who may not be aware, if you're not on the podcast group or read about it when I posted, but if
you're not on the podcast group, search the Haunted Heart Podcast on Facebook.com and get up on there.
It's a ghost town amusement park literally on top of a mountain. And to get there, you have to take a chairlift and go all the way up. And so if you're afraid of heights, you may not want to do that. But it was really popular when we were growing up, very popular in the 70s and 80s. They have like shootouts there, and they have like a bunch of really cool like saloon type vibes there. Really cool place, and but unfortunately, I think like it fell to neglect. And then, do you remember there was an instance where I think it was a kid like fell off from the chairlift?
Yeah.
They almost fell off, they fell out of the chairlift. And then another instance where...
Because they didn't have, back in the day, they didn't have a bar that would come down on you, like in roller coasters. Like, it was literally just a chair.
Yeah, it was just a chair.
And there was nothing in front of you. And you were, like, hundreds of feet in the air.
Yeah. And one time, it actually stopped. And it malfunctioned. And people were stuck there.
Oh, my God, I would have...
Stuck up in the chairlift for hours. So after that, I think it just, I think it went through a couple of phases where they were closing it down and opening it back up, but they finally shut it down in 2002. But it is to be reopened this upcoming spring.
Do you know when? Oh, spring?
Yeah, so they're opening it up in phases, apparently. So the first is to open in 2019, I believe in the spring. And it will include 2 areas, a Heritage Plaza and the Old Western Town.
Oh, cute.
Which will be accessed by your traditional chairlift. And then they'll open additional sections later. But the guy who bought it, or is the president of this company that bought it, has spent 32 years at Walt Disney World. And he's been with Disney Cruise Lines and various other places. And his wife is is going to be the executive vice president, and she also worked for the Walt Disney Company for like Magic Kingdoms and the hotels and all of that. So I'm very excited.
Yeah,
I want to go back.
Me too. Yeah, we totally should. That would be really cool. I went to that place as a kid, and I have a bunch of like pictures and stuff.
Oh, I've got one of me on
really
the chairlift with my grandmother, and I'm just like
The only thing I wish that they would do, here's what I would live for, if they would, because they're like Old West ghost towny themed, right? If they did a Halloween, like, theme park.
Oh, totally.
Fuck. Ghost Town in the Sky. If you can hear us, we'll fucking do that shit for you.
I think it's called Ghost Town. It's going to be called Ghost Town Adventures now, which...
Okay.
You know, I kind of like Ghost Town in the Sky.
Me too.
A little bit better, but hey.
I feel like it's 90s, though.
Yeah.
It's definitely got a 90s ring to it.
Yeah.
That's us. Okay. Yeah, so that's our cool theme parky ghost town.
Yeah.
But now I'm taking you into the depths.
The depths of what, Katie?
The depths of Silent Hill.
I fucking love Silent Hill.
Can you hear it? If we're all very quiet and we close our eyes wherever you are, I don't care if you're at work, just take your hands off your keyboard and just close your eyes really quick. If you work in a plant, don't do this. Close your eyes. And can you hear the Silent Hill theme that
I just hear the
That freaking theme music is my favorite theme music. Well, second only to Halloween. Like, that theme music is so fucking good.
I'm gonna tell you what, I would marry me some fucking Pyramid Head.
He was fine. He was fine. I think that's when it was solidified for me that I definitely have like a strong BDSM streak. Yeah. Like when I was like, ooh, like yes, like I'm gonna need my skin to stay on. That's a hard no. File that under my hard nose list. But I mean, we could get down. I like a barrel chested man.
Yeah, it was. I just remember first, like, I was introduced, I played the Silent Hill game, and that's how I was introduced to it,
yeah.
And that scared the fuck out of me.
Oh, yeah.
As a teenager, as a young little chubby little teen sitting on the end of my bed playing Silent Hill. And...
Get scared.
Yeah, and, but God, something about Pyramid Head, I was just like, I don't even know what it is.
Did you like him in the game?
Yeah,
too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like,
because my first experience was the movie, and then I played the game. So I saw him in the movie, and I was like, okay, dude.
Yeah, I saw him in the game, and I was like, ooh, you're scary. And then as I developed, I realized he could get it.
It's true. Pyramid Head could totally get it.
Totally.
I like a quiet, brooding type.
Yeah. doesn't say much.
He's actually pretty perfect, actually. I mean, we wouldn't have a lot of arguments.
He speaks through body language.
Yes. Yes, I appreciate... he's probably a Pisces. My guess is that he's a Pisces because he's really quiet. He takes definitive action, quick decision maker, but probably some very deeply flowing emotions therein.
Could be.
And he did save her in that one scene in the movie. I don't know if it was like really him saving her, but he was like, he helped her out.
I don't think that's what that was.
But
okay.
you watch your horror film and I'll watch my love story.
Oh, okay.
Okay? All right?
There we go.
Okay? That's how I feel about Halloween too, for the record. Just letting you know.
A love story? Oh.
Well,
That's another episode.
If I was there, I feel like it would be the perfect meet cute for me.
Okay.
I just stare up into Michael's eyes.
While his large metal knife is
It is very phallic. It is very phallic.
Right up
It's a
inside
lot.
you.
Maybe he just wanted to fuck. You know what I'm saying?
He did.
Maybe he just didn't get an opportunity to do that.
Maybe he shouldn't have went to his sister for that.
Well, true. That's true. That's true. But they have therapy for that now. And
True.
they have medicine. But, wrong franchise.
Yeah, bring it on back.
We're dipping
bring
back
it on
into
back,
Silent
guys.
Hill. We're plunging the depths of Silent Hill.
Uh-huh.
Kenny thought I was going to turn that into a pussy joke.
A vagina
but
joke?
It's
No.
not. It's not.
No pussy jokes here today,
don't
folks.
think about vaginas when I say plunge in the depths. Don't do it. All of our LGBTQ members are like, sure, fine.
Sure. Cool.
Well,
we're good.
all of our G members
Yeah.
are like, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm definitely not.
Not going there. No, we're thinking about plunging necklines. Actually, no, legitimately, I was thinking about a plunging neckline when you said that.
Okay. Is it because my tits are like out on the
It
table
kind
right
of
now?
is, yeah. I was like plunging neckline.
Is there really any other kind of neckline? Come on.
Nope, not at all. Not in this household.
Look, when there's not much else attractive about you other than your tits, they tend to be out a lot. I'm just saying. We got to live how we got to live. Know your currency. Amy Poehler says that. Know your currency. My currency is funny sometimes and tits.
Always.
I know it. Always.
Funny sometimes, tits always.
Funny sometimes, tits are always there. Anyway, Centralia. That's what we're talking about.
I thought we were talking about Silent Hill.
Well, they're the same thing. Did you catch a fly?
And I just got like I'm good. I'm good.
Yes. So, Silent Hill, for those of you who do not know, probably most of you know, Silent Hill is based off of a real-life ghost town called Centralia. It is found in PA.
That is Pennsylvania.
Yes. Actually, that might need to be explained for some of our international people. Because, bitch, we international. We international like Pitbull. Maybe not quite like Pitbull.
We just need him to introduce our episodes.
He seems
from now
really
on.
predatory. I don't know. I'm not going to say
He gets
it.
old and he's like,
I'm not going to put
the
this
start of our
allegation out there on the podcast.
Next
in
week,
the
our
public.
episode just starts out with Mr. Worldwide.
I just want to say, I am not a predator. Be safe, everybody. Anywho, yes, Centralia is located in Pennsylvania. Specifically, it is within the anthracite coal region of the Appalachian Mountains. Now, some of y'all might say Appalachian.
That would be
Wrong.
That was a question at the end of that. Wrong.
No. It would be wrong.
Appalachian.
Appalachian. One of my friends used to say, if you call it Appalachian, we'll throw an Appalachia. So, you like that one, don't you? That's a hashtag wholesome joke for children, folks.
Hopefully we can gain another star back.
Wholesome joke for children on the podcast that's not for children.
Throw an Appalachia.
Moving right along. Centralia is located in Columbia County, Pennsylvania, at the intersection of PA Route 61 and 42. The town was founded in 1866 by Alexander Rea. It was a coal mining town, and the peak population was around 1890. According to the U.S. Census at that time, there were nearly 2,800 residents, as well as 2 theaters, 5 hotels, 7 churches. They love their God,
Whoa.
y'all. 27 saloons.
You could go to a church every day of the week.
Yes, you could, Lord. Bless you. 7 churches, 27 saloons. Did you catch that?
27 saloons.
Fuck yeah. 27.
27?
Yes. 1 bank, 1 post office, and 14 general stores. By the mid-1900s, though, the town was on the decline as the demand for anthracite coal had dropped at that point in time. So it's the typical story of a mining town where you have the boom, where everybody moves in and everybody's mining, and it's like everybody's making money hand over fist. We got 7 churches. But then you have the bust when the mines, and in this case, it wasn't necessarily that the mine dried up, so to say. It was more that the demand for that type of coal had dropped. And mining jobs subsequently moved elsewhere. So in 1950, the population was right around 2,000. Some sources say a little less than that, like around 1,800. But Centralia was mostly a pleasant, closely knit town where people lived and raised their families. It was like a small town where everybody knew what your business was, who you was sleeping with, who you was seeing on the side.
Uh-huh.
And they gossiped about people's children. So it went on like that until May 27th, right around May 27th of 1962. So most of my information was pulled from a source called, it's a book actually called Fire Underground, written by David DeCock. I think that's how you say it. I'm making that how you say it.
David DeCock.
Could I have looked up his
you know
Wikipedia page for the pronunciation? Yes. But is it funner to say cock?
Yeah, always.
Yes.
Hey, that star we gained for, incorporating the
Oh, it's
children-friendly joke, it went away.
Oh, it's
We
gone.
lost 2 now.
Oh, no.
DeCock. Get back on it.
DeCock. Let me get back. All right. So that's my main source, in case you're interested.
Always.
But he says that, DeCock says that on or around May 27th, local firefighters set the landfill on fire in order to clean it up. And unfortunately, the landfill was located close to an old strip mining pit. And I don't want to, come down on anybody. I don't want to be a bummer. I don't want to point any fingers, so I'm not. But I'm just saying, shouldn't the fire department have known better than to be lighting fires right on top of the old strip mining pit?
I feel like that, yeah, no. That not a good idea, guys.
Maybe they didn't know it was there. Maybe, I'm sure they realized as firefighters that it was flammable. This was just 1962. Some sources actually, outside of that book, actually believe that it was somebody else that was cleaning up a dump and not the fire department itself, but that it was illegal and it was some dumbass who was just setting shit on fire. And that's the theory.
I feel like that might be accurate.
That's the theory that makes sense to me. But he, this DeCock guy, says that when he interviewed a bunch of people and did a bunch of research, it seemed like people were giving confusing tales on purpose to hide their knowledge of it. And so it might have just been an old fuck up. But regardless, this old strip mining pit basically caught fire. And when it wasn't fully extinguished, the fire was able to continue burning. And it actually, because all those mines are connected, because you would go down into the mines and then you would walk around through the tunnels and tubes and stuff. So they're all connected. So imagine if you've ever seen an ant farm, where there's
Yeah.
the big main room and then there's these tunnels that lead to these like smaller rooms.
I just imagine like the tunnels and tubes at like a Burger King or Play Place.
That works too.
All these
that.
tunnels and tubes connected by one big ball pit.
Yes, exactly.
There we
that.
go.
Except on fire and very deadly.
Okay, great. Sounds like a great time.
And hell on earth.
Great.
That. So basically, it wasn't fully extinguished. Whoever started the fire, should we cue that Billy Joel song?
I don't know that Billy Joel song.
You don't know that song?
So.
We didn't start the fire.
Nope. Don't know it.
It was always burning since the world.
Oh,
was
yeah,
turning.
now I know it.
Yeah, because there's that episode of The Office with Dwight where Dwight comes out. It's the best episode of The Office. Dwight comes out with
don't watch
the
The
burnt
Office.
toast because they had to evacuate the building because the toaster like burnt toast and set off the fire alarm. And he comes around the corner and he's like, Brian started the fire.
I don't watch The Office.
It's great. Well, all 2 Office fans who are listening to the podcast, that was for you. Anywho. Basically, imagine the ball pit, imagine the ant farm. This small strip mining section catches fire. The whole rest of it fucking catches fire. And over time, it grows and spreads. Efforts to control it ultimately failed. And slowly, the fire moved underneath the town and directly affected the residents. So the effects of this, when we imagine like a massive fire breaking out, like you're probably thinking like I was, that it like... the whole mine caught fire, and then it came above ground, and then everybody was on fire, and then people were screaming around on fire. Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite
Chaos.
like that. Yes, it wasn't quite like that. So it actually caught fire, and at first everybody was like, I mean, it's cool. It was literally like that meme of that dog.
It's
who,
like, this is fine.
Yeah.
Everything's good.
It literally was like that meme of the dog who everything around him is on fire. He's sitting at the table with a teacup, and he's like, this is fine. Everything's fine.
Me every day of my life.
Right? And it was like that.
Literally us right now, though.
It was like that. So the fire is expected to have, or is thought to have started May 1962. 2 decades later, in the early 1980s, is when it actually started presenting real health and safety hazards to the people of Centralia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and those types of things were not like little Susie's running down the street on fire. It was carbon monoxide gas was seeping into homes and basements, and kind of, in a way, more scary than little Susie being on fire.
That's bad, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's why you have carbon monoxide detectors like in your house. Yeah.
It kills you when you're asleep because you breathe it.
It does. It's the silent killer. That and high blood pressure.
Yes.
So, carbon monoxide was a big problem. Another problem, which is really comparable on a fear and unsettling scale to little Susie running down the street on fire. These massive fucking sinkholes would just open up in the ground as the fire was burning and the land was basically like subsiding from the fire. These just fucking big ass sinkholes would open. So that's why
that
you see.
That is terrifying.
Right? Like you're just fucking walking down the street, running late to work if you're me, and like just fucking gigantic sinkhole opens up.
Gaping maw just fucking.
Down to this massive eternal fire. And you're like, well, fuck. And if you're me, then you're just going to Snapchat that to your boss and be like, babe, I'm going to be in late.
And so instead of little Susie running by on fire, she's like riding her tricycle and the fucking
into
earth
the hell
opens
mouth
up and just devours her.
Absolutely. Yes.
I love it.
Horrifying. So obviously this was a fucking problem. So in 1984...
Why do I think it's so funny?
I mean, it's because it's incongruous. If you really want to get into it, we can get into the 8 causes of laughter. Incongruity is a big one. But in 1984, they were like, I guess we should just fucking do something about this.
Finally.
So, yeah, right? So
I guess it's a problem.
a voluntary program was started to start moving residents out of their homes. So many residents accepted buyout offers for their properties from the state, and they moved elsewhere. After leaving, the homes were leveled. And in 1992, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania used eminent domain to take control of all of the public property in the town. So the state of Pennsylvania owns the whole town now.
Okay.
Remaining buildings were condemned, and residents were asked to leave. A bunch of them did, obviously. But a few of them remained and actually sued the state of Pennsylvania for their right to stay in their homes.
Okay. Well, hey, it's America.
Yeah. I mean, there's some judgment that could be levied there. It's a big debate. But on one hand, there is an actual public health and safety danger to you. On the other hand, some home means a lot to some people. Home is a house to some people. It depends on how you define home.
Yeah, but see, that's how you get really twisted. That's how you get things like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. That's how you get, that crazy, like, I ain't leaving. This is my home.
Yeah.
Don't come on my property.
I mean, taken to an extreme, yes. One thing I worry about, like, with people who remain there is, like, water. Because, no, you can't have safe water. But whatever. It's America. So the lawsuits lasted for almost 2 decades after, like, following 1992. And they actually were wrapped up relatively recently. In 2013, all the lawsuits ended, and the 8 remaining residents of Centralia were allowed to stay as long as they lived. So I think I consulted multiple sources, but I think there's maybe like 5 of them left now in 2018. Mm-hmm. But there definitely are still people living in Centralia today. However, I think once those people pass away, the town will probably be closed. Because it's not safe to live there. But if sinkholes are opening up, probably not a great idea, not the safest place.
No.
This fire itself is expected to last for another 250 years.
Great.
Yeah. So it's not going anywhere. I am imagining.
They stay warm in the winter.
I'm just imagining like Pennsylvania Bob. It's like having heated floors on the whole town.
Fuck yeah, man.
I'm just imagining like Pennsylvania Bob just like on May 27th, 1962. Oh, let me just burn these apple cores here. And is
that his name, Pennsylvania Bob?
Pennsylvania Bob.
PA
That's
Bob.
my suspect. No, or like the dumbest fire chief ever, who's just like,
no,
it'll be fine.
I can guarantee you, it was some dumbass,
as my family would say, some jackleg,
or that. He probably like flicked a cigarette out or something.
What if it was like, what if that major fire was covering some other crazy crime?
Like a conspiracy theory.
Like somebody was burning a stripper's body or something. I'm sorry, a sex worker.
A saloon worker?
One of the workers of the 27 saloons. And he was like, let me just burn this body real quick. And then the whole town happened. Was like,
and he's like, well.
Huh. All right.
I'm just going to walk away.
Right. So there is some talk about Centralia being haunted. Uh-huh. I found 2 forum stories that I wanted to share just really quickly because they are a little creepy.
Yes.
On some days, the smoke from the fire below can actually be seen in the town. Wafting up from the ventilation shafts that lead down to the mines. So add that in your mental image to the creepy vibe. So Scott Saylor of Mays Landing, New Jersey, wrote on a forum, and the forum is Centralia, PA. It's like or offroaders.com. It's their thread on Centralia. So Scott writes, I visited Centralia last weekend with a couple of friends, and I thought I might share a very weird experience that I had while exploring the town. We were there for about an hour and a half, and we're checking out the interesting locations that I had heard about, like the burning hillside, the crack in Route 61, and the streets without homes. We were in the area next to the old cemetery on the east side of the town, east of Route 61. We had just checked out the old tombstones, and were getting a whiff of smoke from the east of that, so we walked down the old gravel road to look around. We found a slag-covered hillside with steam coming out of it, and were pretty fascinated by some fossils we found when we heard what sounded like a voice saying something inaudible from down below where we were. All 3 of us heard it. We figured it was someone else checking out the area too, so we sort of ignored it. Then we heard it again, a little more clearly. A few words, and it sort of sounded like leave this place. At the moment the hill we were standing on started steaming more than a few moments before, and it really stunk like rotten eggs, which, an aside, is probably sulfur. Which you would get in a mine, but you would also get with demons. Back into the quote. Well, it sort of spooked us, so we figured we better head back to the car. As we were walking back in the area of the cemetery, we heard it again. Not the same words and not clear, but something like, why? Why did you do that? What was even weirder was that it wasn't like someone yelling it out of the bushes. It was quiet and kind of closer, and we couldn't figure out the direction it was coming from. Too weird. We got back to our car, and we didn't see any other cars or people the whole time we were there. We left and weren't sure what to make of it. We really weren't sure we wanted to talk about it. All I know is I'm not going back. When I got home, I found out the area where we were walking was near the location of where the fire had started, across from the cemetery. Just thought I'd let you know about it. Something's not right about that place.
See, I got the idea that what happened was a demon came in and he just took up residence in Centralia.
For real?
And then he was
this is
like,
a nice place.
"Ooh, let me just whoosh, start my fire."
Right? Oh, let's just warm it up just a little bit. Let's turn the thermostat up just a little bit. We gonna put it right up on hell. So, I have one more haunting story.
Okay.
Jim and his girlfriend Lori posted, or actually emailed this in fall of 1999.
Oh, this was before Y2K.
Best opening ever. Hi, my name is Jim.
How we're starting the podcast
I love
from
it.
now on.
You know what?
Hi, my name's Kenneth.
When you email the Haunted Heart Podcast at gmail.com, I want you to start your email with, "Hi, my name is Jim." Even if it's not, doesn't matter. I just want you to do it. Every time you write us an email.
Yeah.
We'll love you forever. So, about a month ago.
A girl.
A girl. A girl.
A girl. About a month ago.
About a month ago. About a month ago, my girlfriend Lori and I were coming back from Nobles, and we decided to take Route 61 home and stop at Centralia to take a look as we did once before. First, let me say we're not superstitious. In fact, we're quite the opposite. We like checking out abandoned places and old buildings, old cemeteries, and that sort of thing. We've seen a lot of old abandoned homes over the years, but the one we checked out in Centralia about a month ago really gave us a fright. Have you checked out the Haunted Heart Podcast, Jim? Because I think you would like it, baby. You and Lori.
Hey, Jim from 1999. Slim Jim, 1999.
Get up on it, Slim Jim. You better tune in. Favorite podcast app. You know what to do. There were 2 units. There was a white abandoned twin home up on a side street on a hill. There were 2 units, and both had red numbers sprayed on the front, which indicated, from what I gathered, the homes were probably set to be demolished in the near future. So we decided to check it out. The back door was open, so we went in. Some of the first floor windows were boarded up, making it dark, but we explored the old house a little. We were on the 2nd floor in the hallway near the stairs that led up and down to the 1st and 3rd floor. The door was open leading up to the 3rd floor. Lori was in the hallway while I was at the top of the steps that lead downstairs. At that point, we heard footsteps coming down the stairs from the 3rd floor. It sounded to me that the steps were were going across the ceiling above, the steps coming down to the 1st floor, so my first thought was that someone was coming down out of the attic or the 3rd floor bedroom. At first, we were startled and thought someone else was in the house. As the footsteps sounded like they were about to reach the 2nd floor hallway, Lori looked into the stairwell expecting to see someone. There wasn't anybody there. At the same time, I looked down the steps to the 1st floor and saw nobody. We just stared at each other for a few seconds. I said, "You want to leave?" She said yes.
Yeah.
We made a beeline down to the back door where we came in and out to the car. We drove about 100 feet and stopped to look back at the house, looking at the windows. I mean, we really expected to see someone looking out at us. Nothing, though. Really weird. Like someone walked down those stairs, but we couldn't see them. Freaked us out. Anyway, I don't know what to make of that. You wouldn't know who used to live in that house. Not even sure where it was or what the numbers were, but if ever I thought a house was haunted, it would be that one. Sort of changed my impression of old vacant homes.
Ooh.
Was that like the proto creepypasta, maybe?
Maybe.
It felt a little bit like a creepypasta. He definitely needs a little bit of work with his prepositions.
My name's Jim.
My name's Jim?
Well, I love how he set the scene, like, or gave us, like he's telling us that they're not superstitious. So that way it's more impactful when we inevitably hit the superstition.
True. I mean, I feel like some of that, though, I feel like Jim might be an architect or some shit because he was really trying to explain those fucking stairs to me. All I needed to know, 3 staircases and a landing, baby. That's it.
Just fucking say the staircase.
Like the staircase?
Yeah.
Like maybe it was an owl.
Jesus Christ.
So, Centralia, PA, if you want to visit it, I recommend that you do. There's only a handful of people left, and once they die, I fully expect the state of PA to close that town off. So, get there if you want to go.
Yeah. Sounds fun. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of fires and abandoned towns and St. Elmo. No. We don't do that. Damn.
Did I mention
Who is St. Elmo?
Should I go back?
Who is St. Elmo?
St. Elmo. He's red. He's hairy.
He's the demon that moved into Centralia.
He's got a scary laugh. For real.
That gif of him, like, in hell, the Elmo, with the fire behind him. That's Elmo. He's living in Centralia. That's what he's doing.
It.
No. You took us to Pennsylvania. I'm putting us in the car. I'm packing everything up, and I'm driving us west to Colorado.
Ooh, okay.
St. Elmo, Colorado. So, St. Elmo was originally settled in 1878 and was made official in 1880 when gold and silver began to bring many people to the area. So, your story was about the coal. They came in for the coal. Mm-hmm. A lot of my people came in for that gold. The coal and the gold. So, though it was first called Forest City, the small town's name was changed when the post office objected because there were too many towns with the same name. The new name was derived by Griffith Evans, one of the founders, who was reading a romantic 19th century novel by the same name. Oh, you got to find that novel, St. Elmo.
Sounds saucy.
St. Elmo. The town was laid out in 6 feet of snow and provided for the miners working in the nearby mines. So, beginning with a very high moral character,
okay,
the settlement went the way of other booming mining towns, reaching a population of more than 2,000 and taking on all the trappings of a single male population.
Did she have 27 saloons?
She had some saloons, and she had some saloons, she had some dance halls, and something called a baldy house.
Oh, okay. I bet I know what that's for.
I don't know what a baldy house is, but I'm sure our listeners will tell us. So when the Alpine Tunnel was under construction, St. Elmo became the scene of some pretty raunchy Saturday night sprees. So we'd go to hit that tunnel, go to St. Elmo for a good night.
Hit that tunnel. Hashtag hit that tunnel.
Hit that tunnel.
Get it done.
So in 1881, it became a station on the Denver, South Park, and Pacific Railroad line, where the tracks continued through Romley, Hancock, and through the historic Alpine Tunnel. The settlement was considered a main source of supplies, arriving by train for the area settlers, and eventually included several merchandise stores, 3 hotels, 5 restaurants, 2 sawmills, and a weekly newspaper called The Mountaineer.
Okay.
I feel like it's ran by one person.
Yeah. Yes.
Who is the Mountaineer.
Who holds actually all of the different titles and refers to himself differently. Like he's reporter when he's on the scene, but he's editor when he's putting the newspaper together.
Uh-huh. I fully believe that.
And he's photographer when he's like out there taking shots. Whew.
Yep.
Woof.
Exactly.
That is too real.
The miners worked at several mines throughout the area that were rich in silver, gold, copper, and iron. One of the main mines, the Murphy Mine, was situated high up on the mountain, 2,000 feet above the railroad, and it shipped as much as 50 to 75 tons of ore per day to the smelters at Alpine. And altogether, there were over 150 patented mine claims in the immediate area. So she was pretty rich.
She was.
She was rich, honey. So, in 1881, you have this guy, Mr. Anton Stark. Now, I am not talking about our Game of Thrones Starks here, people. Not Game of Thrones Starks. We're talking Midwest mining Starks.
Dirty, maybe some Levi's.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but the original Levi's that could stand up, whether you're wearing them or not. Rough.
Yeah,
rough
that type of Stark.
type
honey.
of man.
He was
Probably not many teeth.
No, maybe not. He was a cattleman.
Okay.
Yeah. He brought a herd to the railroad and was so taken with the town that he and his family quickly took up residence.
Okay.
He became a section boss for one of the local mines, and his wife, Anna, ran a general store and the Home Comfort Hotel. The Home Comfort Hotel.
I like it. It's cute. She's cute.
It scares me a
If
little.
I saw it on Airbnb, I would probably check it out. I look at the photos.
It scares me a little. The Home Comfort Hotel. So,
I mean, it's better than the Never Leave Hotel.
I would rather stay at the Never Leave Hotel.
Hotel California. I mean,
Right.
come on. That was an old person joke. I'm an old person. That was, I'm sorry.
So,
Look it up. It's a great song.
and so that later became home to the post office and the telegraph office. So Anton and Anna raised 3 children, Tony, Roy, and Annabelle, who worked in the hotel and the store. The hotel was said to have been the cleanest in town.
I'm also known to be that.
The meals were the best. Now, I will have you know, this is a town of probably, I think, 2 restaurants.
Okay.
They had the best meals.
The best.
The
I mean,
best.
shit on that other restaurant.
Could you imagine the
There's
drama?
only 2 restaurants, and they're like, we have the best meal.
The drama that would unfold. We have the best meal. No.
Like dueling banjos, but like some
banjos.
weird golden corral version of that. I think I
Yeah.
almost said golden cracker barrel, and that is like the restaurant hip hop mashup that I need.
And the supplies at their general store were said to be the most plentiful than the other establishments. They were pretty full of themselves, these Starks. But they were the best.
That's when they didn't have a Twitter word count, so you could advertise your shit as the most plentiful in all of the land.
We are the best podcast that is recorded in this home.
For real.
So the Stark family...
The
were
cat starts recording a podcast, and he's like,
It's better.
fuck your podcast.
Fuck your podcast. So the Stark family were part of St. Elmo's elite.
Oh, okay.
A high-class group that attended church regularly.
Now, I want you to understand that when we say elite, you may think like Met Gala and Anna Wintour and that type of thing. We're talking about a mining town in like, what, late 1800s are we still?
Yeah. Yep.
Ain't nobody got teeth, even though we elite. Like, they all nasty. This
It's
is just
all
like
disgusting.
the fanciest of the nasty.
It's the best trash possible.
Yeah. Like King of the
Like-
Rock type situation.
Like us. The best trash possible.
The best trash.
So, but they attended church regularly. His wife, Anna, was said to have been a humorless woman. You know what? I bet she found some things funny. I don't know what, but I imagine she did. Like beating her children, because she apparently severely controlled her children. I don't know, that's allegedly. No, it's not alleged. I was just saying it. Believing that they were better than the other townsfolk. The miners, the railroad men, the prostitutes, and, quote, hard women. Hard women. The children were rarely allowed to leave home, forbidden to attend any like social gatherings or activities, and so they really only had each other for company. In 1890, A fire destroyed the business section, and the town was never entirely rebuilt. I'm wondering if this is where we get St. Elmo's fire from. I'm going to have to look into that because I did not research it.
Great. Good.
So the survival of the town was largely due to the Stark family and their descendants, who remained the sole year-round residents for many years. According to a local legend, perhaps at least one of them, Annabelle Stark, still keeps a ghostly watch over the town. Mm-hmm. So the failure of numerous mines and the closure of the Alpine Tunnel in 1910, she closed it up, honey. Ain't nobody coming over there anymore for no raunchy Saturday nights out. Alpine Tunnel is closed. So that
the tunnel is closed.
Yep. So that started the decline of St. Elmo. So though mining continued at the Mary Murphy mine up until the 1920s, many of the miners moved away in search of new gold strikes. Mm-hmm. As it
always goes with mining towns.
Yep. The railroad continued to run until 1922, and it has been said that the rest of St. Elmo's population rode the last train out of town, never to return. In 1926, the railroad tracks were torn up, and the railroad grade was used to drive from Nathrop to St. Elmo. But the Stark family stayed, believing that St. Elmo would thrive again, buying up property at tax sales. So they just bought up property, honey. For many years, Roy and Stark tried to influence developers in reopening the mines, but when they were unsuccessful, they decided they were going to turn to tourism. They opened up some cabins for vacationers, and they ran their general store. Who came?
Who was buying the products?
Nobody. Who's going to vacation there? Who wants to? I'm going to go out in the middle of this desert, this old mining town that is decrepit, and I'm going to go vacation there. Sounds like a nice Airbnb moment.
I mean, I'm just saying, that doesn't exactly sound like something we would not do. Old, decrepit mining town.
Yeah.
Full of abandoned buildings, super creepy vibes. It doesn't, it kind of literally sounds like our aesthetic.
But that's so they have a very limited pool of
it's true. It's
people
niche marketing. You got a niche market in 2018. Everyone has messages.
Yes.
Target yours directly at your audience.
Yeah, well, they had a very, very small niche market.
Ahead of the curve.
Yeah. So it did not work out. So they were unsuccessful.
Here's the thing with niche marketing. It is predicated on an abundance of information. And in the late 1800s, when it takes fucking 3 months to get a letter from Pennsylvania to Georgia.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
Can't quite cultivate a following, as they say.
Exactly. So, after all of that, they decided that that was not going to work out. After Anton Stark's death, Anna realized that the tourism trade was not going to provide for the family, so she sent her daughter Annabelle to work in the telegraph office in a town about 20 miles south of there. I'm like, what do you need the fucking money for?
To buy things for the general store that they then buy from the general store.
Right. So
it's very complicated structure economically of this town.
I'm just saying. So the lonely and attractive girl was finally able to escape the prison that her mother had made for her in St. Elmo. Before long, she met a young man. His name was Ward.
All right. You can always trust a man named Ward. That's what I say.
His name's Ward. Mama, I done met a man. His name's Ward, and he's going to carry me away from here.
You can always trust him. There's an inherent nobility in a man named Ward.
Yeah.
That you can just put your faith in.
Well, she sent her family a telegram that said that they had decided to move to Trinidad.
All right. Sure.
Ward and Annabelle in Trinidad.
Is that Trinidad the country or fucking Trinidad, Colorado?
I'm going to assume that it's Trinidad the country.
I don't
I'm going to
know.
say Trinidad, the country. I don't know that there's a Trinidad, Colorado.
What are they doing in Trinidad? I don't know about that.
Well, it didn't work out.
Aw.
So no one seems to know why, but they called it quits. They busted up, as your mother would say.
True. Yes, she would.
And just 2 short years later, you imagine your mom in that situation. She's like, it ain't going to work out. I give you 2 months.
Oh, yep.
I give you 2 months and 3 days.
And they done busted up. Probably because they've been texting. All these kids out here want to text about it. You can't text about
Katie, they didn't
in a
have
relationship.
Text. They had telegraph.
That would still be my fucking
damn
mom.
Telegraph.
They just been telegraphing back and forth. Don't nobody want to talk face to face no more. Don't nobody want to call nobody on the phone.
Don't nobody want to write a message and send it anymore.
This isn't interesting to anyone who doesn't know my mother.
No. It's funny to us, though. And that's what this podcast is about. So, she returned, and that's where she spent the rest of her life, in St. Elmo.
Well, fuck. I guess that part about breaking out of prison was pretty short-lived.
Yeah, it was. It was a short dream.
I was hoping that metaphor would have lasted.
Nope. So the children were considered to be pretty eccentric. I mean, I guess you have to be.
The only residents of a dying town.
And they were being reared by a very strict mother, so you can only imagine. So they maintained their existence by continuing to run this general store and rent cabins to tourists, though the general condition of the town deteriorated. And by 1930, the population of St. Elmo had dwindled down to only 7. In 1934, Roy Stark passed away, and his mother, Anna, died a short time later. The only residents left were Annabelle and Tony, who lived in the dead town without any indoor plumbing or electricity.
Wait, who is Tony? Is that one of her brothers?
Brother. Yeah, because it was 3 children.
Okay.
Anton was the father. And you had Roy.
Oh, I bet you Tony was named after Anton.
Maybe.
That's cute. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so it's Annabelle and her brother.
Yeah, so Annabelle and her brother. No plumbing, no electricity, so they stank. Rarely bathing or changing clothes. They neglected the hotel. They let the whole place go to hell. You had shit everywhere. But they continued to run that home comfort store.
God, I'm just imagining fucking Tony just rearranging 3 individual kernels of corn on a fucking store shelf, taking inventory.
Well, they had some faded tins of outdated food and some stale tobacco, so.
Just fucking rearranging them.
If you need
daily.
Could you imagine? You come to the Home Comfort General Store, where if you need some tobacco or some tins of food, we got you.
It's gonna be expired, but we like it that way.
Like this town
At the Home Comfort Store
in St. Elmo.
There's a theme. It's dilapidation.
So in 1947, this book came out called Stampede to Timberline. And it was published by a Muriel Woll, one of the two, which stated that St. Elmo was a ghost town. And this fucking infuriated Tony and Annabelle. They were so pissed and claimed that it was not the tattered store or their own eccentricities that drove away business, but rather her statements in the book. Now, please know, the town was already dead before this book.
For almost 50 years before the book, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Good. All right.
So, though Annabelle
understand.
was always said to have been kind and generous to the few who still frequented the store, the locals began to call her Dirty Annie because of her filthy clothing and tangled hair. She was known to have roamed the old town. She got her rifle in hand, and she was there to protect her property. The town officially died on September 30th, 1952, when the post office closed. And eventually, Tony and Annabelle were sent away to a mental institution for their own safety and that of others. However, after just a few weeks, a sympathetic friend convinced the authorities that they were of no harm to anyone, and they were released. Tony died a short time later, and Annabelle was sent to a nursing home in 1958, where she then died in 1960. Their property was left to the sympathetic friend who had helped them, their property being the home comfort store. Shortly after Annabelle's death, the friend's grandchildren were said to have been playing in a room of the hotel because this friend decided that she wanted to try to, like, fix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
When suddenly all the doors in the room slammed shut and the temperature dropped to nearly 20 degrees. The children were terrified, and they refused to never play in the hotel ever again. Apparently, Miss Annabelle didn't want no children playing around in that hotel, honey.
Maybe.
Another one of the grandchildren, a young woman in her 20s, was cleaning out the rooms. She was making some minor repairs. She was washing the walls, cleaning it up, honey. She was fixing it. And after cleaning up for the day, she and her friends would put away their tools and cleaning supplies, only to find them in the middle of the floor when they returned the next day. After this continued to occur, they started placing the items in a padlocked closet, but still they would be in the middle of the floor when they came back. On another occasion...
She's trying to help. She's trying to help clean, girl.
She wanted that mess, though. I feel like that's what it was. She was like, this is my mess. It's messy for a reason. Leave it alone.
Maybe. Because it's Annabelle, right? Not
Yeah,
her mom.
it's Annabelle.
Okay. Yeah, maybe not.
On another occasion, a skier was said to have seen a very attractive woman in a white dress framed in the second-story window of the old hotel. The owner was away on vacation, so who could it have been? The young woman's eyes were focused on something in the distance, and when the skier followed her gaze, she saw a group of snowmobilers who were riding through the street. The skier flagged down the group, informing them that snowmobiling was illegal in St. Elmo. The group apologized and rode away. When the skier looked back at the hotel, the woman nodded to her, then turned away and vanished. The legend of Annabelle's ghost lives on with the part-time residents of St. Elmo, believing that she continues to protect her property from vandals or trespassers. And today, St. Elmo has numerous structures that have been preserved and are all privately owned. It is one of the best preserved ghost towns anywhere in Colorado and still has a few residents. The remaining structures include... Guess what?
That motherfucking general store.
A general merchandise store, which still operates from May through October. It includes a church, a school building, and many other business structures and cabins. Unfortunately, on April 15th, 2002, a fire in St. Elmo destroyed 6 of the buildings.
That St. Elmo's fire thing keeps happening.
It keeps happening. Yeah, it's a little weird. This town just keeps getting fired up.
Jesus.
Wow. Including the Old Town Hall and jail.
That was
and
a wholesome
Stark.
joke.
Yeah.
For children.
So the fire destroyed a bunch of buildings, including the Stark family dwellings. And on July 6, 2002, the St. Elmo property owners passed a resolution to donate the town hall as well as the St. Elmo schoolhouse to the Buena Vista Heritage Museum. And this museum plans to work closely with the association and residents to preserve and protect St. Elmo. So...
Awesome.
That's kind of the town of St. Elmo. You can still go there. They've got great 4-wheel drive trails, if that's what you're into. If you want to go find some rocks, they've got that too. You can find some quartz, some aquamarine.
Actually, I would fucking be totally down to find some aquamarine.
You can go camping.
All right. Sure.
Everything that you possibly
Can
want
I
to
go
do in
glamping?
St. Elmo. Nah. Well, maybe if you go to the general store, they might have something there for you.
They might. They may well. Between May and October, right?
I kind of want to go to this general store, though. Like, I kind of want to take a visit.
Yeah. No, it sounds like a cool place. Like, it totally... I mean, I'm, I guess, different than most people in what I look for a vacation, but I would totally fucking go to a dilapidated ghost town for my...
Well, the hotel, I think, is situated, like, it's connected to the general store, so we could go. We could stay in the hotel, and we could go and walk 5 feet over to the general store and eat from the tins of food.
Maybe not. Maybe, I don't think it's an eating trip, you know? Maybe not.
It's traveling. You always are supposed to plan food. You have to plan the food. I would want to know what they have. Anyway, it's pretty, walk in. Excuse me, where's your menu?
Yeah. I didn't see a menu online.
I didn't see a menu on the door.
I,
Do you have a Nikos salad special today? I didn't see a menu on the door.
Jesus.
No. I'm sure if I wanted some tobacco, though, I'd be set.
Maybe. Potentially. I'd like to see that in 2018, though. Like, are we still having tins of tobacco?
I don't know. It's open May through October.
We'll have to go. Haunted Heart Road Trip. Let's go, people.
To St. Elmo in Colorado.
Come on. Get in our van and head out to the Wild West, where Freedom, Will Smith, and Kenneth Branagh and a creepy robo-spider machine are waiting for us.
We can have a whole steampunk adventure.
True. That last illusion tells me that my Robitussin has taken me just about as far as I'm able to go this episode. So, before I pass the fuck out, maybe it's time to wrap this bitch up.
I think so.
So you know where to find us on social media. On Facebook, search the Haunted Heart Podcast. You will find our closed group. Apply to join. We will approve you. We will be ecstatic that you are part of our family. The Facebook group is really fucking cool. Kenny and I love seeing everybody's posts and talking with you guys and getting to know you guys. It really does take it to the next level for us. Mm-hmm. So if you do have a Facebook and you are part of the Facebook world, consider joining us there. We would love to meet you and get to know you as part of our spooky family.
Yes.
On Instagram, we are at the Haunted Heart Podcast. Follow us there. And on Twitter, we are at the Haunted Heart. We do share different things on our social medias, so make sure you're following us on all three platforms because it is a somewhat different and tailored experience for you.
Yes, and if you would like to join our intimate, very, very intimate Patreon family.
So intimate. It's almost illegal.
Yes, but you can go search us at the Haunted Heart Podcast on Patreon, and you can scroll through and see all of our wonderful tiers that we have for you. And yeah, for as low as $1, you can get a fucking invocation on this show, like you heard at the top of the episode.
And there's all kinds of bonus content. There's videos, audio, early access to episodes and shit that you can get with the various tiers. So definitely check it out. It's patreon.com/thehauntedheart is the best way to pull it up. And of course, if you have any, I've been talking to some listeners lately through the Facebook group and through social media in general that have shared like various stories with me related to some of the stuff that we talk about on the episode. And I know that like it's a podcast, so you guys have access to all the different episodes. So you're at different points of where you're like listening back to the show. But if you hear us talk about something and you have like a story that's related to that or tangential, or you just need to share with us what you had for lunch, write us an email at thehauntedheartpodcast@gmail.com. We are collecting those stories and we will read them back on episodes. It doesn't have to be like recent. I actually had a girl reach out to me this week with a Ouija board story that we're going to probably read next episode. Mm-hmm. So we love to hear from listeners, and if it's something like interesting, we will totally read it on the show. And don't be shy, basically. Hit that inbox because we got the storage from Gmail.
And you can also hit that inbox up with some Q&As because we hit our first goal on Patreon, y'all, and we are set to record a very special Q&A episode.
Yes, we're going to record and release that for you as a bonus episode. It's for everybody, not just for Patreon people. So send us questions, anything that you want answered, we will answer as long as we won't legally get in trouble for answering it. Mm-hmm. And we'll take that at our own discretion. However, if there's anything that you want to know about us, about the show, about our personal lives, about how we take our coffee, shoot us an email. Nothing's too silly. And we're really looking forward to recording that for you guys because it's really cool that we smashed our goal the way that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is it for housekeeping. And I think it's just time for us to give you your advice for the week, your mantra to carry you on to our next appointed hour when we shall gather round the candle-lit flames
Gather round the fire.
and commune together in the ancient way of our people. But until then, you must stay spooky.